Here's the question that USCIS will never tell you. How many papers do you need to get your EB-1A approved? I have filed hundreds of cases with the Immigration Service, and the answer is there's no number. So we always go back, look at the regulations, look at the statute, because after all, the EB-1A visa is grounded in law. So if you look at the regulations, or even the statute, or even the policy manual regarding publications, which is listed as the scholarly articles criterion. If you're looking at the list of criteria, you will see that nowhere does it say a certain number is required. And this is a mistake that I see engineers make. My name is Priya Alagiri. I'm an immigration attorney. I am the founder of the Alagiri Immigration Law Firm. We focus on helping engineers apply for their EB-1A visas. So, first off, as an engineer, it's unlikely, if you're an engineer in the private sector, it's not common to have publications or scholarly articles. It's not in your job scope. Whereas a researcher or an academic working at a university, definitely it's within their job scope to research and publish, and ideally get citations. So if you're a researcher, scientist working in academia, then yes, you do need publications and you do need citations. But engineers in the private sector do not need publications. That's the first myth I wanted to dispel. Before even talking about the number of papers you may need, first is you don't need them really as an engineer. And we have gotten 99% of our approvals even without papers. So now that you know that you don't need publications, you don't need citations, if you do have one, great. You can then consider the scholarly article criterion for your EB-1A visa. Going back to the first question, how many articles do you need? And the answer is there is no answer. So I go back to quality matters. There's no point in just writing a paper that's kind of mediocre or rushed and publishing it in a mediocre journal or other platform, because quality matters. And you should definitely do not check boxes. Tick, I got a paper published. So going back to, if you have a really substantial scholarly article as an engineer, you are, it's published in a well-known platform, distinguished in your domain, great. So how many of those do you need? USCIS would prefer one quality scholarly article versus like 10 mediocre scholarly articles. That matters. Again, quality matters. Where it's published matters. Look at the, impact factor. Look at the circulation numbers. Look at other authors published in that journal. Is it distinguished? Is it highly reputable? Also, is it technical? That matters. It should not be written for lay people. Your scholarly article, your publication needs to be highly technical and written for others in your field, not for the public. So keeping those things in mind, it matters more where your article is published, what it talks about, is it technical? And it should name you as an author. You don't have to be the primary author, but you do need to be named as an author. And the Immigration Service will look for that. We've seen, not our cases, but I've seen in the immigration lawyer circles about RFEs being issued because the applicant's name doesn't appear. So they're very basic things to keep in mind, and you wouldn't normally think about these things, like, where it's published, whether it's highly technical, whether your name is actually on the paper. So these things are much, much more important than the number of papers that you publish. So the entry level consideration is not how many publications do you need. The publications, if you do meet the entry level requirements, make sure you have evidence that your paper was peer reviewed, that your paper, if you've gotten citations for your paper, again, you don't need them, but if you have citations for your paper, make sure you provide evidence of that. So, the bottom line is numbers don't matter. Quantity does not matter. Quality will always trump quantity. So where it really matters is in the final merits determination. That's when the Immigration Service will look at the quality of your publication. Where was it published? What does it talk about? Did it, are you writing about something novel? Like, oftentimes I will see that the scholarly article is related to something that you developed or invented. Again, it's not that common among engineers in private sector, but when I do see it, it's usually related to something that the applicant has discovered, developed, invented. So, okay, the bottom line, the takeaway here is one paper with 80 citations, one really well-written paper published in a high-impact journal or a really prestigious conference, with 80 citations, always will be 10 papers published kind of all over the place. So if you have any questions about this criterion or any of the other criteria, please do not hesitate to contact our office. The scholarly articles criterion is a little tricky. We would love to analyze it with you.